Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Got question Chase, has got the facts, talking NFL numbers, he's got your back. A little chart trend ball, man, he's got it like that. Chasing data by champions. Chasing data applies to everyone. Chasing data, yeah, we're live today. Chasing data for always. Chasing data by champions.
What's up, everyone? We have finally made it to the top two teams in the NFL. We've been doing this since, I want to say, the week after the Super Bowl or so, where we've deep dove into every team's roster, all 32. And now we're at number 2 and number 1. It's kind of already given away by the background and my hat, and the title, I should say. But if you hadn't watched before, what we're going to do is, like we've done with every other episode, is break down the team in detail, talk about their additions, their subtractions before we get into the 2025 season, what are their best odds as far as winning their division, winning their conference, winning the championship. Who are the strengths of this team? What are the strengths of these teams, and what are the weaknesses as well? We'll talk about their cap situation, what they may look to add mid-season before the season starts, and just what is their general overview or their outlook for the 2025 season. And all this is based on analytics. It's an analytics show, and we're going to get right into it. So let's go ahead and go to team. Let's look at where we're at, how we got to this point first. So here you go. So if you hadn't seen any of the other episodes, which, I mean, they're all listed, you can go see where I've talked about it, literally every one of these teams. And this is my current power ranking order as of August 1st. And we have the Chiefs at 4, Bills at 3, Lions at 5. I think 1 through 5, any of those could be argued to be in any order. The Lions being that low is based on how they ended the season, even though they had a lot of injuries, and the loss of their defensive and offensive coordinators. But without further ado, let's go to team number 2, the Eagles. Your 2024 Super Bowl champions are currently number 2 in the power rankings. Why do I feel that way? Well, let's get right into it and discuss the Philadelphia Eagles. So last season, they were 14-3. They currently have an over-under of 11.5 wins, which is, I feel like that's reasonable. They're going to be coming off of a Super Bowl slump. They're in a tougher division with the Commanders and the Cowboys. Commanders and Cowboys there, depending on what happens with Michael Parsons. But they're there. They don't even have the best odds or the second best odds to win the championship. They're actually number 3 behind the Ravens and the Bills at plus 700. They do have the best odds to win the NFC at plus 340, and they are the division favorites to win the NFC East at minus 130. That's not the best odds. I want to say, I think the Bills had the best odds out of anyone for any division at minus 300 or so for winning their division. So last year they started 2-2, that kind of slow start. It was an ugly game whenever they played Green Bay in Brazil last year to open the season. But then they went on a streak, won 10 straight. And then, like I said, they finished 14-3. Head coach is still Nick Sirianni. We're quite familiar with this team and this roster at this point. Just looking at a general overview of what this team had last year. And like I said, we're going to get into more detail as we go. They were 5th in points per game, 29 per, 8th in yards per game. I mean, we know what this team was. They kind of peaked at the end of they did peak at the end of the season, and that's what led to them winning the Super Bowl. 4th down, they were actually 3rd in the NFL. They were probably either behind. I know they were behind the Commanders, who had the all-time best 4th down conversion rate in NFL history at like 85%. But they were at 71%. So they were either behind the Ravens or the Bills. I want to say it's the Bills, though. 10th in red zone scoring. They ran the ball more than anyone else, and that had a lot to do with them being ahead in games. At over 56%, they were at 5 yards per carry, 184 yards per game on the ground. Second best. Two, if you can guess who number one is, kind of know, have a hint anyways. Passing, they threw the ball the least in the NFL. Again, a lot to do with them being ahead in these games. 8 yards per pass. They had a lot of explosive plays, as we know. But when you look at the defense, they had the best scoring defense, according to this. Number one, 18 points per game, fewest yards per game allowed. Third down, they were 8th best. Fourth down, they were in the bottom third. I mean, everything seems to me fourth downs. 6th best red zone scoring defense. 11th as far as yards per carry allowed. Number one, pass defense with those two rookies at the back end of that secondary in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Also helps when you have Vic Fangio as your defensive coordinator. Kevin Patullo, offensive coordinator, in-house promotion. After Kellen Moore goes to the New Orleans Saints, head coach takes over that show. Yeah, got a comment here. Guantanamo Bay had a year like 2000. Yeah, hopefully they improve in year 2. If they do, the league is really in trouble. I feel like the secondary is going to carry this team more than the front four did last year. Last year, it started off as a front four that was carrying the secondary, and now we're going into 2025 with the secondary carrying the front four. Like I said, Vic Fangio is the defensive coordinator, and he played an extreme role in why the Philadelphia Eagles got to the point that they did. All right, let's bring up their depth chart here. Got another comment here from Anthony. Anyway, they get Parsons. I literally, right before the show started, I saw that I don't know what sports book it was, but there was a sports book that had which team is Micah Parsons going to play for in 2025. The Cowboys were minus 300. 2 teams were tied for second at plus 1,000, and those 2 teams were the New England Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles. In what world... We know Jerry Jones can do some dumb things, but in what world does he trade them to a division rival and the previous Super Bowl winners? Like, I mean, if anybody would do it, it would probably be Jerry Jones, though. That would be the only caveat to this. I don't see how there's a second highest favored team as far as betting odds go, but that's why the books have more info than we do. But I would be highly surprised if he goes to the Eagles. I thought about the Commanders as well, being that they're also trying to get rid of Terry McLaurin, but that doesn't make sense, like a Terry Micah based swap. I mean, the Cowboys already have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, so they're not going to take Terry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No way Jerry cooks up Philly like that. No, I don't think he does it. I don't know why they have the second best odds, but it's going to be interesting to see how Jerry Jones lets this play out, because I'm sure it's not going to be the smoothest of scenarios that plays out. Appreciate the follow, though. All right, so looking at the Philadelphia Eagles depth chart here, and if you're unfamiliar with these depth charts that I have up on the screen now, so the blue names are the ones that are returning players from 2024. The orange names are the ones that are free agent signings. As you can see, no free agent starters according to this depth chart that was just pulled today. Well, 2 days ago, sorry. But the red, as in the Kobe Dean, they're starting the season on the PUP list. And the magenta, pinkish purple color are your free agent signings. Your draftees. And the teal color are your undrafted free agents. So, sorry, Anthony. I'm streaming on YouTube and YouTube, X, Instagram. You can go look up DUE Champions, DUE Champions, and you can see everything live on there. So, additions. They have Kenyon Green that they traded for, and they got rid of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I guess, they didn't really want to pay Chauncey. It's hard to let him go. I mean, he did have a down year last year, and they bring in someone who was absolutely terrible in the Houston Texans offensive line. They completely revamped their offensive line that we discussed in previous episodes, but they bring in Kenyon Green. They bring in A.J. Dillon, who is going to be a backup to Saquon, a big bully back when healthy and on the field. He had some highs in Green Bay when he wasn't playing Farming Simulator while streaming. But A.J. Dillon is definitely going to be a short yardage back for sure. I do expect Saquon to take way fewer snaps. He had over 400 carries last year. So, I'm curious to see how that plays out, because there was a stat I saw the other day. Running backs that had over 400 carries in the year prior every one of them had a down year the following year. That was Christian McCaffrey whenever he had that first great year in San Francisco. Then last year he was injured. It was Chris Johnson, whose yards per carry dropped by like 1.5 yards per carry the following season. So it's going to be interesting to see what Saquon does in 2025. So they got A.J. Dillon, who's probably going to get a good bit of run. Will Shipley, we might see him as well. They also, on the offensive side of the ball, no one else really. Terrace Marshall, the only time he's ever done anything great was whenever I played with him with the Carolina Panthers on Madden. But other than that, Jordan Davis, we got Anthony here. Appreciate it. Jordan Davis losing a lot of weight, contract year for him. Does he go crazy? He's already relatively crazy. He's going to be alongside Jalen Carter. I wish I had his snap count pulled up right now, because I don't think his snap count is all the way. He's not playing as many snaps as he could be. But with that weight loss, he definitely should see more time on the field. I'm sure his cardiovascular stamina is greatly improved. It's going to be interesting, and we're going to get to the front four in just a second, though. We will save that for just a moment whenever we get to Jordan Davis. So looking at the defensive side of the ball, because they got Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was absolutely god-awful, one of the worst ADOTs in NFL history amongst all quarterbacks to have, I want to say like 250 attempts in a season. It was terrible. Did not push the ball down the field at all, so it doesn't really matter about him. On the defensive side of the ball, they get Josh Uche from the New England Patriots, who, some depth if you want to. Azeez Ojulari, I'm curious to see what happens with him, because whenever he saw the field, was solid for sure, and he was playing behind the likes. So he was in New York, so he was playing behind a front four that included Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Nunez Roches, who was solid last year, Brian Burns. So he definitely saw his snaps decrease. So I'm curious to see what he does in a more, how would I say it, a role that is specific to him, like a more of a pass rush specialist role. The Bears, Jonathan. Bears are quite down. I think I had them ranked around 16, but quite a ways to go. They're going to be interesting to see what the Bears do. Appreciate you stopping by. But so see what Azeez Ojulari does. And then the only other addition that they had of note is Adoree Jackson. Curious to see what he has. They take two giants from within the division. So will they also get Micah Parsons? Someone asked earlier. I don't think so. That's only additions. This team, look, you look at all the blue. I don't know. I think the Denver Broncos had the least turnover of any team in the NFL. I want to say like 85.7% of the roster was returning, which was the least turnover in the NFL for the season. But you look at this, all their starters are coming back. Well, they had all their starters are players that they had last year. Let me rephrase that, which you don't see a lot with any of these depth charts. They did lose some people. And some of those, before we get to the losses, they did also re-sign Zach Bond, who sucked in New Orleans and came out in his first year with Vic Fangio, and Vic Fangio turned him into a backup linebacker all the way into a first-team All-Pro. He gets a 3-year, $51 million extension, which was fourth in average value for linebacker position at the time of signing. He was arguably the best linebacker in football last year. He's not necessarily your off-ball linebacker type that you think of in Fred Warner or Roquan Smith, but his ability to be as versatile as he was last year made him be in the argument for the best linebacker in football. I mean, he's just all over the place. He was a priority to bring back, in my opinion. He covered up so many issues that could have reared an ugly head, but he was great. Let's see. Comment saying, I have CD and London for my receivers in a 12-man, but James Cook and RJ Harvey are my running back. Thoughts? Appreciate you stopping by. CD and London. So I think CD Lamb, if we're talking fantasy, CD Lamb is going to, I mean, he can't be, I don't think he's going to be any worse, because you compare him to last year with CD Lamb, he was seeing double team bracketed coverage at all times. And you go into this year, and now he has someone to take the pressure off of him. They can't leave George Pickens wide open when you compare to the wide receivers that he had lined up opposite of him last year. So he's definitely going to eat. Drake London can't be any worse than what was happening with Kirk Cousins in the first half of the season. They have Michael Penix Jr., which I'm not sold on, but he's wide receiver 1, obviously, and they're going to have a full offseason together. So this should be good, especially in a 12-man. James Cook, he's going to put up great numbers again. He's trying to get that new contract, so he's definitely there to play. And RJ Harvey, it's a question mark for me because, I thought he was going to be the bell cow back until they went and signed. Who did they sign? They drafted him in the second round, RJ Harvey, but then they signed J.K. Dobbins. So now it's looking like maybe more of a running back by committee, but RJ Harvey could get some. They could line him up in the slot some out wide. So we'll see. But solid for starters for sure, because usually one of those 4 are going to be not going to be your most ideal player, especially in a 12-man league. Appreciate you stopping by, though. All right, so they extended Saquon Barkley, 2-year, $41 million, highest running back contract in NFL history. Well-deserved. We know what he did last year with his numbers that he put up, otherworldly numbers. Could have broke the record, but they sat him in week 18. Continuing on with the additions to this team, they use, the rich just get richer. They somehow, Jahad Campbell falling all the way to them. I want to say I had him ranked 7th overall going into the draft, and he fell all the way to the Philadelphia Eagles. Was it at 32? Did they trade back, or did they stay around 30? I don't know, whatever. It's 30, 31, 32, wherever they were at. His comp in NFL is Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, this guy, he had the injury, torn labrum after the combine, but for them to get him and then to have him paired alongside Zach Bond, I mean, this is just ridiculous for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he tracks the ball well. He's sideline to sideline. He had the 4th fastest 40 time. He is just an ideal build for a linebacker. He can match up with backs and tight ends in coverage. He can also pass rush when you need him to. I mean, this guy is just ridiculous. They get Andrew in the 2nd round, who is probably going to get some. I mean, they got rid of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So this guy may get some run in the secondary as a safety. I mean, they still have Reed Blankenship, who will definitely be a starter. It won't take too much for him to get playtime over Sidney Brown as they have on this depth chart, though. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Trade up with KC. I knew it was some trade. I didn't think they stayed where they were at, but they got it. Okay, yeah. All right. So 31. I mean, still ridiculous. I mean, some mock drafts had him going like early teens, That's what they're saying. Is that Coop? Oh, okay. Regardless, they have Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell in the secondary, and I am more than intrigued to see what they do after a year of learning in the NFL to cover up all these no, I'm not going to say issues on the front 4, but the lack of talent compared to what they had last year. I mean, I don't know how much of these other draftees are going to get play time on this team. When you're a Super Bowl champ, it's kind of hard if you're a day 3 pick to see the field. But we'll see what happens. I mean, they had quite a few picks, but they usually know what they're doing. They're a team that you can count on to make good decisions in free agency and the draft. So that's all their additions and re-signings, so you want to say extensions. Subtractions. Who did they lose? Who did the Philadelphia Eagles lose that made me drop them from the Super Bowl champion number 1 team to be number 2 on this power ranking? So they cut Darius Slay. They cut James Bradbury, 2 aging secondary defenders. Once they went, was it back-to-back last year with DeJean and or Quinyon Mitchell, then Cooper DeJean, the writing was on the wall once these guys came into the league and just pretty much dominated the back end of that defense. Darius Slay ended up in Pittsburgh, I want to say. They traded away Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, so 3/4 of that secondary is gone if you say 3/5 roughly. They lose Kenneth Gainwell. They lose Josh Sweat. They lose Milton Williams. That is why I have them drop for the time being. And based on the fact that they just got hot all of a sudden in the second half of the season and on that playoff run and everyone was healthy. There's some issues with depth that worry me that we will discuss momentarily. So not many losses, but the two main losses, I guess you could argue 3 with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but the two main losses are Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. I mean, this front four was just absolutely dominant and everybody kind of, played off of each other. You really couldn't double team anyone. You double team Jalen Carter, then you have Josh Sweat and Milton Williams coming right at you as well. So going to be interesting to see. But the strengths of this team. I guess I should have brought up. Here's all their draft picks. Didn't mean to leave this out earlier. But as you can see here, they get Jahad Campbell, and then they get the DB from Texas. Defensive lineman in the forefront. They just had so many day 3 picks. Cornerback, linebacker, center/guard, quarterback in Kyle McCord. They are known as the quarterback factory in Philadelphia. As many quarterbacks as they have turned into serviceable players. Tackle in round 6, and then another tackle in round 6, and then a edge in round 6. They had 10 draftees. I didn't even realize they had that many. So going back to this depth chart here. Strengths of the Philadelphia Eagles. The offensive line. They build this team. We hear about it all the time. They build this team in the trenches. They have arguably one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They did lose Mekhi Becton, who came in and played extremely well compared to his time in New York. But now he's gone to the Los Angeles Chargers. And now we will see the likes of Tyler Steen probably get that start at right guard as they have listed here. He came in at the end of the season when someone was injured. Was it Cam Jurgens? Is that who was injured at the end of the season? And then Tyler Steen came in and was serviceable for sure. So interesting to see how that plays out, but I do think he's going to be fine in that starting role. Other strengths of this team include their weapons. You have one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL in A.J. Brown. And then you have a top 15, top 20 in Devontae Smith. And then you have a top 3 or 4 duo. Who are the better duos in the NFL as far as wide receivers go? Obviously, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You have Puka and Devontae. But then outside of that, who are ones that you could say are arguably as good as them, if not better? Curious. George Pickens and CD Lamb, maybe? Regardless, very good, very good. They have those two, and then they have Saquon Barkley, who, like I said earlier, we know what he did last year. He was the Eagles were second EPA per design rush. So even when you knew they were running, they were still great. Second in the NFL. Like I said earlier, it worries me how much he was worn down. He had over 400 carries last year. This offense, though, just altogether, probably going to be great if they can stay. Are they going to be top 10? It's a good question because they were not top 10 as far as DVOA goes. That they just got hot at the end of the season. Obviously Saquon was great the entire season, but Jalen Hurts had another Jalen Hurts season, the ups and downs, and then he just stayed up for the last fourth of the season all the way through the Super Bowl. But if you're basing it on the second half of the season only, they're probably a top 5 offense. But it does worry me that they don't have Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore came in there and did great. We saw what happened last time they got rid of an offensive coordinator who was his name Brian Johnson? And it went downhill quick. Kellen Moore, what he did to Jalen Hurts, though, and his ability to improve him versus the blitz, he was well below average prior to Kellen Moore. And then last year, he was first in QBR versus the blitz. I'm curious to see if they get behind in games how Jalen Hurts will play as well, because last year Jalen Hurts attempted only 54 passes when trailing in the second half of the game for all of 2024, all 17 games. He only had 54 passes when trailing. That is the 10th fewest out of anyone who's had 300 or more attempts since 2010, last 14 years. And 45 of those 54 came in the first 4 weeks. First 4 weeks. So from week 5 through 18, he threw 9 passes when being behind in the second half. That is absolutely insane. Got a comment. Jags are going 17-0. Are we talking about in Madden 26 or in the NFL? No way. Yeah, fair point. OC last 5 years. We'll see what happens. In the NFL says 17-0. Yeah. I don't know what makes you feel that way. Travis Hunter is also going to play quarterback, running back, defensive line, everything, and be great as he was in college, I suppose. I do believe in Liam Cohen and the Jags, but not 17-0. Sneaky dark horse team to win their division, though. But so going back to the Eagles offense, they were 16th in success rate. It's kind of surprising for them to be that low. But, I mean, that's skewed from the first half of the season. They were 6th in EPA per play when you look at the entirety of the season and 7th in points per drive. But, the thing about their offense and why, I said I was a little worried about Kellen Moore not being there and them having a new offensive coordinator. But it wasn't like when you watch the Philadelphia Eagles, it wasn't like, let's say someone like Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, even Sean Payton. They scheme up their offense to improve them. They make them better by scheming them up. The Philadelphia Eagles, is not their scheme that's winning these games with the offense. It's basically they go out there and they say, my 11 are better than your 11, and there's nothing you can do about it. We have the best running back in the league. We have a top 3 wide receiver duo, arguably top 3 offensive line, and a quarterback who can make throws when need be. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. What do we have here? Let's see. Dave says, I don't have the Ravens over the Eagles. I beg to differ. The Ravens, we're going to talk about them next. They're the second half of this episode, but their roster and what they've done to improve it is just otherworldly. Cashberry, they have Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., Trevor Lawrence, and the good Josh Allen. Travis Etienne, way better than Derrick Henry. My Lord. Let me know what you got going on over there. I don't know about that one. Travis Etienne may not even beat out Tank Bigsby. So anyways, to their defense, their defensive strengths, the D-line, I appreciate y'all stopping by, though. The D-line is still good, even though they lose the likes of Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. Milton Williams maybe got overpaid, and I'm curious to see how much these players excel in other roles on other teams where, like, all right, this front 4, like I said earlier, like, you're double teaming one player, but you could be arguably double teaming one of these other players that are on this front 4. So obviously Jalen Carter is probably going to get the double team, but the D-line's still good because they have Ojimo who come in late, and I had to find where I got something on him in just a moment I'm going to discuss. But Jordan Davis, contract year. Jalen Carter, he could win Defensive Player of the Year. Nolan Smith looked great in the playoffs. Then you have Zach Bond. I mean, you have Vic Fangio, so whatever. It doesn't really matter. Cashberry says 2021 James Robinson is better than Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Okay. Surely. Linebackers are obviously a strength when they had arguably the best linebacker in the league last year, like I said, with Zach Bond. And now they get Jihad Campbell. Just ridiculous. Secondary. Like I said, to start this episode, they went from a front 4 led MV3. Who are we talking about here? MV Sports Talk with Steve. MV3 loading. Secondary, there's a strength for them for sure because they went from the front 4 led team last year to a secondary led team now with Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, this team, Vic Fangio, basically. They lost 2 of their 4 top pressure getters, like I was talking with the defensive line, and Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. But it's still going to be a top 5 defense. Tavius and Simpson going to step up this year. Don't know. So, okay. MV3, LaMarvelous. Best defense last year for the Philadelphia Eagles as far as EPA per play from week 9 on. So, like I said, they got hot on both sides of the ball. I mean, the emergence of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean really just helped this team. Like I said, so here it is about Ojimo last year. He improved as the season went on. MB3. Okay, I thought you were the number. I was trying to think, who's number 3? Why are you saying Lamar? Yeah, I hope so. I hope Lamar gets MVP. He should have won it last year. But we're going to discuss the Ravens momentarily after we get done with the Eagles. Ojimo improved as the season went on. He was 5th defensive end. I mean, whatever. It gets a little iffy. But like I said, over and over again, the strength of the defense is Vic Fangio. Sports talk with something to do, I want to say, with TikTok. That's the 11th. A lot of big money there. E56768 says, do the Ravens see what they have to? I'm assuming this says, do the Ravens have what they need to go all the way? Let's see. Do the Ravens see what they have to? If you're asking, do they have what they need to go all the way? Yes, I'm about to talk about why they're number 1 momentarily. All right, let's bring up the Eagles schedule. We're almost getting close to the end of the Eagles here. I'm going to briefly run through the schedule. I'm not going to break down every game. Just going to go through based on a very topical discussion of what the Eagles match up with these teams and predict the final record. All right. They have the 4th hardest schedule in the NFL at a .561 opponent win percentage. Oh, do the front office have it handled, and is the team ready for what's in front of them? The Ravens? Yeah. They are ready, I do believe. Not really worried about the regular season. We're going to talk about them momentarily. Thanks for stopping by. Week 1, they played Dallas, and that's NFL kickoff. They should win that game, especially if they don't have Micah Parsons. Week 2, at Kansas City. It's going to be a toss-up. Let's just say a toss-up at best. I'm not going to give them every win. Should they win it? Could they win it? Yeah, obviously, but not going to say, oh, yes, automatic win. Week 3 at Rams, they played them very close. They were 1 snap away from not making it to the NFC Championship. Let's say they win 2 of those 3. Week 4 at Tampa Bay. One thing I will say about Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay has had Philadelphia's number in the playoffs. Week 5, Denver. Man, this is a gauntlet to start the season. This is 5 teams that are ranked. 4 of these 5 are ranked in the top 10 for me. But they had at Denver. I mean, at absolute worst, they go 3-2 just from a Super Bowl hangover. But they could easily go 4-1, 5-0. I don't think they go 2-3. So let's just say 3-2 at worst. Giants Thursday Night Football. That's a win. At Minnesota, JJ McCarthy. The terrible throws have been coming out of training camp one after another. New York Giants again. That's a win. Then they have their bye week at Green Bay on Monday Night Football. I don't think Jordan Love is the answer in Green Bay. Detroit, Sunday Night Football. They got to lose some games. Doesn't mean Detroit's better. But week 12 at Dallas should win again, regardless of Micah being there or not. It's really going to depend on how much the Super Bowl hangover is the thing for this team. Are they up for every game, every week, week in, week out? We'll see. Chicago, week 13 on a Friday. Is that Thanksgiving? Maybe Thanksgiving week, Black Friday, maybe. That should be a win. At the Chargers on Monday Night Football, I think their defense is even worse than what it was last year. I feel like last year was more of a fluke year. Las Vegas in week 15, they're not ready to compete with the Eagles. At Washington in 2 of the last 3 weeks. So I have them, and then Buffalo in between that. If you say they split at Washington may be struggling too, especially if they don't have Terry McLaurin. I have them around 11 or 12 wins, and I think that's reasonable. That wins them the NFC East. That gets them, at worst, a 3 seed, probably a 2 seed. And they're going to be just getting ready for the playoffs. The regular season doesn't matter to this team. They just won the Super Bowl. There's no reason for them to push and be injured going into the playoffs. I mean, I think anywhere between 11-6 and 13-4 is reasonable and not unheard of for the Philadelphia Eagles. So with each team, I go through and look at who has the best odds for the awards that are at the end of the year. And let's start with the MVP. Jalen Hurts has the sixth best odds at plus 1,700. I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think he's going to get, to the point of where he can put up enough numbers in this offense. I mean, they didn't trail. I mean, he wasn't throwing the ball. I don't think he's going to throw the ball enough. I don't think he can even put up the numbers enough to win MVP. Not saying he's a bad player. I just don't think he should have sixth best odds. Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon has the best odds at plus 650, which is surprising because, like I said earlier, he had over 400 carries last year. It's not going to happen again. Jalen Carter has the seventh best odds for Defensive Player of the Year at plus 2,200. There's a world that he wins that. There are no Offensive Rookie of the Year odds listed. Jihad Campbell at plus 1,400. I want to say that was like fifth as far as Defensive Rookie of the Year. Definitely a way he wins that. Nick Sirianni has the worst odds of all coaches to win Coach of the Year at plus 8,000. I mean, that's solely because when he throws the ball is a completion-led league in passing percentage. Okay. Again, appreciate you stopping by, Anthony. But Nick Sirianni is plus 8,000, which is the worst odds in NFL for a Coach of the Year. And there's no way he wins it. The only way he wins it is if they go 17-0. And I mean, that's not happening. I don't care who you are, unless you're New England Patriots. But that's the only way he wins Coach of the Year. There's no other reasonable explanation as to why it's a media-driven award, and there's no reason he would ever win it. I always say, who could be the most improved player on this team? And it's usually like all these teams below, it's like, there's always some guy you can pick out. Who on this team, I don't even know who to say could be. Eli Ricks, maybe. Let's just say he needs to get some more playing time. He needs to improve. I don't know. I mean, seems too good. Not really worried about most improved player. But so to finish off, looking at drop-off candidates, I want to say just Cooper and Quinyon just because they were so great last year. I mean, I don't expect it, though. X factor is Jalen Hurts. This is the norm. Can he carry this? Not carry, but show up whenever he needs to. I think the defense is going to be the defense, even though they maybe take one extremely small step back. There's not really an X factor for this team until it gets to the playoffs, and that's Jalen Hurts once it gets to that point. So the outcomes, I've done this for every team. I do the best, the worst, and my most realistic expectation for these teams. As we get to the top, they kind of just align with each other with what the best. Ringo needs to be most improved. They want him opposite side of Mitchell. Fair. Okay, I can agree with that. Definitely so. All right, good point. All right, so like I said, the best, worst, and realistic kind of almost smashed together as the higher we got up these rankings, because the floor for these teams is so high to begin with. But best case scenario is obviously win the Super Bowl. We don't need to go into detail. We know what the formula is. Worst case scenario, they run Saquon into the ground. He is not what he was last year, and he cannot perform when in the season when they need him. The defense does regress to, let's say, top 10. The offense is top 10-ish, top 12 at worst. But, I mean, that puts them – they're still squarely in the mix of the NFC East and winning the division title. So it's not – I mean, and they're in the playoffs, and then we see what happens once they're in the playoffs. My most realistic expectation is the NFC goes through Philadelphia. Could Detroit beat them? Sure. Absolutely, especially, and I don't want to get too down on Detroit, especially early in the season, because they're going to have some growing pains with their two coordinators. I don't expect it to just run smooth from week one. But like I said, the NFC runs through Philadelphia yet again until proven otherwise. I mean, this team's just too good. The only challengers, I don't think Washington's going to be able to compete. I think that was they really overachieved this year. And the Rams, they could, but Matthew Stafford's already had, back issues, so he's sitting out of training camp. Detroit Lions could, though. But so that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Steve says Ravens versus Eagles Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, that's very realistic. That's probably one of the most likely matchups as far as betting odds go, because the Bills and the Ravens have equivalent odds, equal odds to come out of the AFC. And obviously the Bills and Ravens have equal odds. The Eagles are the favorites to come out the NFC. This is the best overall Ravens team. Oh, yeah, 100%. All right, so we're going to take a quick, I want to say 30-second break, run this ad promo, and then we'll be right back with the Baltimore Ravens.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right. 1 second. Let me let everyone know on X that we're talking about the Ravens now. One moment, and we will get going with the number one team in the NFL. Let's see, quote. Ravens. There we go. Alrighty. So. Alright. So. Alright. Now to recap. Alright, let's go back. Switch screens. So here we are. Here are my power rankings for anyone watching on TikTok. You can see all the screen sharing that I'm doing. If you go to YouTube or X or Twitch, Kick, Facebook. Steve been doing this. Started after the Super Bowl this year. Had my X account for, I don't know, about 2 years, but really committed over 2024 season and signed on with Do Champions, who are a Buffalo Bills based network. And they offered me the spot to get on here and share my knowledge and love for the NFL, and I greatly appreciate it. But so here we are, power rankings. Here's 2 through 32. We're finally to number 1. This has been a long, I want to say this is about the 20th episode, because I did a lot of episodes where I did 2 teams. I did a few where I did 1 team, and we're finishing up with teams 2 and 1. And yes, I am a Ravens fan, and I don't think I'm really stretching or pushing too hard to say that they have the best roster in the NFL. Like I said, I've never thought this going into a season that they would have the best roster, but it's hard to argue in my opinion. All right, Baltimore Ravens. Before we start, I know they've been terrible in the playoffs. Lamar's been terrible. They've definitely underachieved in the playoffs, so that's what we're playing for. Regular season doesn't really matter. Last season, 12-5, over under 11.5, which is right there at the top of the NFL as far as betting odds go. They are tied for the best odds for the NFC to be the NFL champion, plus 600, tied with the Buffalo Bills. They are tied for the best odds to come out the AFC with the Buffalo Bills at plus 330. They are minus 165 to win the AFC North. Bengals. I think the Bengals have second best odds, but I want to say the Bengals and the Steelers are neck and neck as far as odds go. Head coach John Harbaugh, been there forever. Quick overview of the statistics on this team. We'll get more in depth as we go, but they were third in points per game at over 30 per. I mean, this offense was just such a fluid machine last year. They were first in yards per game, 426 plus, which is ridiculous. First in yards per play, second and third down conversion rate, 15th and fourth down, because they'd get crazy. It'd be 4th and 1, and they'd put Justice Hill in. Stupid. First in red zone scoring percentage at almost 75%, which is ridiculous. When you look at the run game, they ran the ball the second most in the NFL. That had a lot to do with them being ahead in games. They were number 1 in yards per carry at 5.8. Number 1 in yards per game rush yards per game at almost 193. So that's almost 9 yards more per game than number 2, who were the Philadelphia Eagles. Next to last in pass play percentage, which the last team was the Philadelphia Eagles. But they were number 1 in yards per pass. So second lowest pass rate, highest yards per pass. Next to fewest passes per game. This is just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Defense, 8th best in points per game, and that was greatly skewed by the second half of the season. Once they made that move with Kyle Hamilton, moving him from where he was located at on the field, the defense just kind of flipped a switch. 8th in yards per game, 20th in third down conversion percentage, second and fourth down. God, their third down conversion rate that they allowed was 40%. Their fourth down conversion rate was 43%. Crazy. Average in the NFL red zone scoring percentage. Best run defense as far as yards per carry, just 3.6 allowed. Ridiculous. It's like the Ravens of old. 80.9 rush yards per game allowed. Again, now that number's skewed because all the teams were always behind. Play opponent pass rate, second most passes. Again, this is because they were ahead. All right, offense coordinator, godsend in Todd Monken. Zach Orr's defense coordinator, both going into their second year, so it can only go up, right? Now we will look at their depth chart here. Almost deleted it. All right, so like I've said time and again, what you're looking at, blue are players that are returning. The orangish yellow are free agency signings. The red are players that are currently injured. The orange, I already said that. The purple, pink, magenta are your draftees, and the teal are your undrafted free agents. This number will obviously dwindle down as the season goes on, but this is where we're at as of, man, why does that say June 18th? I did not take this screenshot on June 18th. This was like 2 days ago. So I don't know why it says updated on June 18th when obviously Isaiah Likely's hurt on here. Whatever. Neither here nor there. Additions to this Baltimore Ravens team. Looking at this depth chart, number 1, DeAndre Hopkins. Last year with the Chiefs, we got traded to the Chiefs, right? 56 receptions, 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Serviceable. That's wide receiver 2 numbers on this Ravens team. But not a great year, but this is where wide receivers go to die as of late in Baltimore, with the likes of now DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham. I'm blanking on someone. There's a third one. They just brought him in as of recent, and they had Dez Bryant. Who else? There's somebody else I can't remember, but he's still a solid receiver. I mean, he's a serviceable piece for this offense for sure. Another big target for Lamar. Which they like. They like these big targets outside of their tight ends. But DeAndre Hopkins does not drop the ball, which is a great thing for sure. They re-signed Ronnie Stanley, which I was very thrilled about. I was worried about him leaving in free agency along with Patrick McCarry, but they do get Ronnie Stanley back on a 3-year, $60 million contract, which is 14th on average value when he signed it. They get some depth with Joseph Noteboom, which is great based on Ronnie Stanley's history. And now we have some moving around to do. We lost Patrick McCarry, and I'm going to see what happens with this offensive line this season. But so that's really it for the offensive side of the ball as far as free agency goes. We get Cooper Rush as the backup, which probably couldn't be any more opposite than Lamar, but here we are. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, like I said, they were number 1 defense in the second half of the year, and then they go out and add some great names, in my opinion. They get John Jenkins in that front, in the middle up front, which is good. Good run stopper. They get Jake Hummel, who was a serviceable at times linebacker. We'll take it. Then they go and get Chidobe Awuzie from Tennessee. Again, compared to Brandon Stevens, we will take it 7 days a week. But then GM Lamar goes out and is able to bring Jair Alexander, who, when healthy, is a top, 10 cornerback in the NFL still. It's just his availability. His worst ability is his availability. They get him on a 1 year, what was it, $6 million contract or so? So we're going to talk about this time and again, but they go from last year having Brandon Stevens and oh God, why am I blanking? Why am I blanking on this? They go from Brandon Stevens and now they have Jair Alexander and Malachi Starks. They're ridiculous, just absolutely ridiculous what this team is doing with this roster. In the draft, let's bring up their draft class. Like I said, they bring in Malachi Starks. He was my number one safety in this draft, and for them to get him to fall that far and be able to draft him was such an ideal scenario. His comp in the NFL is Brian Branch. He's a 3-year starter, almost 200 tackles, 23 pass breakups, 6 interceptions. He breaks off the ball in coverage. He covers the deep half well, playmaker, effective as a run defender. I feel like they're just going to use him all over. It's just going to be another great year with what Zach Gore is going to do on this defense. He tends to miss some tackles, and he had a bad combine, and that's what made him drop as far as he did probably. But what a great fit for the Baltimore Ravens. But then in the second round, they get the other biggest dropper of the draft probably in Mike Green. He had all the off the field issues that people were worried about too. Was it sexual assault allegations? I hadn't heard anything else about it, honestly. Not to belittle the situation, but we're talking on the field here. But he was my second overall edge, and he ended up going in the second round. And his comp is Will Anderson Jr. I'll take that comp every day of the week. He led the FBS in sacks last year with 17. He explodes with power. He can change from power to speed. He's got active hands, changes directions. I mean, he's just great. He's a former linebacker who can drop into coverage as well. I mean, Lord, this guy is just another godsend for this defense in Baltimore. Outside of that, let's go back to the depth chart. I don't know how much of these other players are really going to get playing time. I mean, they take 2 offensive linemen in the third round, Ty Robinson in the fourth. Ooh, oh Lord, I'm like, why are these names? This is not adding up. Sorry about that. So, fourth round, Teddy Buchanan. I don't know how much playing time. Like I said, these are going to get Peebles in the 6th round, Dellinger in the 7th round, LeJonte Wester in the 6th round. So we're not really worried about the draft picks outside those top 2, but that's the Baltimore Ravens. Their additions were great. Subtractions. Who do they lose? Justin Tucker? Brandon Stevens? Their subtractions were so minimal that we are not worried about them in the slightest. Patrick McCarry is the only one that we could worry about. But as much as you need an offensive line to perform and be great, when you have Lamar Jackson in the backfield who can alleviate so much pressure no matter what is really going on with the offensive line, your offensive line woes really drop down exponentially. But, you just think about what he did against Cincinnati Bengals early in the season. I think it was the first matchup where he spins out of the pocket, rolls out right. Is it Trey Hendrickson that's coming after him, and he throws the ball as he's going out of bounds like 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage and gets Isaiah Likely in the back of the end zone. I mean, those plays just happen time and again. So not really any subtractions for this team. Strengths of the Baltimore Ravens. The best quarterback in the league is a strength for sure. Best offense in the league. Let's see. Let's go full screen here. So the Baltimore Ravens, why do they have the best offense in the league? They were first in DVOA. So like I said, best offense in the league, Baltimore Ravens. They were first in DVOA, first in EPA per play, second in success rate, first in explosive plays, first in yards per play, first in red zone rate, first versus man coverage, first versus zone coverage. Any way you slice this, they were the best offense in the NFL. Like, there was nothing you could do to stop them. I mean, they're returning everyone but their interior offensive line. And like I said, they had the sixth. The offensive line is not as much of an issue when you have Lamar back there, obviously. They had the sixth best EPA per drop back of any team since 2010. That shows you how great their offense was how great it was last year. The only thing that semi-worries me, and we can worry with this with every team, is health. They had the fewest games lost last year on the adjusted games lost on the offensive side of the ball at just 7.7. When you look at the opposite end, like the Detroit Lions, I want to say they were like at 52 games on the defensive side of the ball. They have the best run game in the league. They have one of the best running backs of all time in Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry, is kind of questionable as to what he was going to be able to do at this point in his career at this age. And he has come in and, put up some of his best numbers of his career. And he's arguably the second best running back in the NFL right now, behind Saquon Barkley. Their defense is a strength of this team. The front four, their sacks that they put up. Let's go back. Let's see. The sacks that they were able to put up with these names was great. They still got Matabuki. They got Kyle Van Noy, who seems to have never aged. Still great. They have Odafe Owe, who gets numbers. But now they add Mike Green, who led the FBS in sacks with 17 last year. They get not Teddy Buchanan. They bring in John Jenkins up front. They add depth up front. They have arguably one of the best, if not the best, corner safety rooms in the NFL. And it was two totally different defenses. Like I said, they were two totally different defenses whenever you look at the first half of the season versus the second half. This is second half numbers. They were first in EPA per pass, EPA per play versus the pass in the second half. They were first in success rate in the second half. They were first in points per game allowed in the second half. Their one flaw, or might have more than one, but their one big flaw, they were 29th in DVOA versus number one wide receivers. Why was that? One, Brandon Stevens. So Brandon Stevens is gone. He's in New York with Aaron Glenn. God bless him. And Jair Alexander is now his replacement. I think we'll take Jair 8 days out of the week. We just want to keep him in bubble wrap until the playoffs get here. It's the second year for Zach Orr. So I want to say he can only go up from what he did in the first year. They were third in pressure rate, third in both sacks and pressure rate, but 29th in pass rush win rate. That is the most opposite number I've ever heard of. But it's because of how they scheme up pressure. Zach Orr does a great job at scheming up pressure, and that's why you get those numbers that you get with that. They didn't win on the pass rush. It's just they come at you with these crazy schemes, crazy looks, and the offensive line doesn't really know how to counteract those issues. Weaknesses on this team. What weaknesses would the number one team in NFL have? Failing to meet the mark in the playoffs for one. But Lamar doesn't have a wide receiver one, arguably. They have Zay Flowers, who's a great weapon. They have the two tight ends, but is Zay Flowers a true wide receiver one? It's kind of like the same issue in Buffalo. They have Khalil Shakir, but they don't necessarily have a wide receiver one. That's it. What can you argue is a weakness on this team? It's Super Bowl or bust, obviously. They know that. We know that. Everyone knows that. Cap situation in Baltimore. They have $297 million committed, 20th most in the NFL. So around the same as the Philadelphia Eagles, honestly. Their top 5 players that they owe money to this year, just 2025. Lamar, number 1. Roquan Smith, number 2. Mark Andrews, number 3. Matabuke, number 4. Ronnie Stanley, number 5. They still have almost $18 million in cap space. Who could they bring in? Again, I think this team is good as is. Like I mentioned earlier, the best available free agent is Asante Samuel Jr., but I don't think he comes to this team. And he doesn't have a role right now unless someone goes down. But as of now, they're set. I mean, because let me see who the best available free agents are still. Amari Cooper, no. Rasul Douglas, no. Mike Hilton, Keenan Allen, Brandon Scherf, yeah, maybe. Sure, bring him in for some depth. Stephon Gilmore. Did Justin Simmons sign anywhere? I don't think he did. Matt Judon. No, I mean, none of these players you really want to bring in. But they have $20 million dead cap, and that's the 10th least, and that's split mostly between Odell and Marcus Williams. Still paying Odell Beckham, which is crazy. Schedule. They have the same exact strength of schedule as the Philadelphia Eagles. 56.1 win percentage, fourth hardest. The Ravens opened the season by playing 5 2024 playoff teams in the first 6 weeks. Their schedule is a gauntlet to open the season, just like Philadelphia's. Week 4 game, blah, 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 blah. Ravens haven't won at Kansas City since their 2012 Super Bowl season. Then in the middle, they play 3 consecutive weeks on the road, starting with a Thursday night game in Miami in Week 9. In their previous 6 years, the Ravens have had to go on the road for 3 straight games just once. So, with that said, let's look at their schedule. Well, that's not it. Here's their schedule. So, Week 1, like I said, and how I did with the other teams, we're just going to do a very topical overview of what we have with these teams and should they win these games. I'm not going to go really too much in depth. We could spend a whole episode just breaking down the schedule. Week 1 at Buffalo, Sunday Night Football. We're going to give them the win just based on the fact that they dominated them in the regular season last year. Playoffs, different story. We're not going to talk about it. It never happened. See what happens this year. Week 2, Cleveland. Yeah, if they lose. But, that's what the Ravens do. They'll lose to a team like Cleveland like they did last year. Detroit, Monday Night Football. Kansas City, Week 4, Houston, Week 5, Rams, Week 6. My God. If they come out of this 3-3, I won't be surprised. They come out of it 4-2, I'll be content. Any better, I'll be ecstatic. But, I mean, this is all about the playoffs. So let's say 4-2 going through Week 6. They have the bye, thank God. Week 7. Week 8, Chicago, they should win that. Miami, that's a team I may rebuild in Madden just because I just want to reset what they've done. At Minnesota, I don't believe in J.J. McCarthy. At Cleveland again, should win. New York, they should win. Cincinnati, let's say they split. It might be 78-75 final score, but they should split. And then say they split with Pittsburgh, win at New England. They should beat Green Bay. I mean, that still puts them at 12 wins. Anywhere between 11-6, 13-4. All that's reasonable for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, we don't care. Give us the wild card. Doesn't really matter. Our hurdle is playing well in the playoffs. I mean, it doesn't matter if we have home field advantage. I really don't care about that at all. Lamar just has to prove he can get over the hump. It's not all on him, but, I mean, you think back last year to the playoff game. He had interceptions that were not his fault. One was one. But, Lamar just has to play better. Team has to play better. And they just got to get over the hump in the playoffs. That's what this season's about. This season's about the Super Bowl. Don't really care about the regular season at all. Because, like I said, just give us a wild card. It doesn't matter. Just get into the playoffs healthy and take another stab at it. But as of Week 1, they have the best roster. They have the best roster on paper in the NFL. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. They have arguably the best linebacker in the NFL. They have arguably the best safety in the NFL. They have a top 2 running back. They have the best tight end duo in the NFL. I mean, it's ridiculous. Embarrassment of riches for the Baltimore Ravens. So like I did with every team, go through their MVP award winner odds. So MVP, Lamar is tied for the best, which is crazy. Because if he didn't win it last year, I don't know what he's going to do this year to be able to win it. At plus 550. He is tied with Josh Allen, I believe. Derrick Henry has the 4th best odds at Offensive Player of the Year. I don't think they're going to run him into the ground. He gets even less carries than last year, plus 1,400. Defensive Player of the Year, plus 5,000 for Kyle Hamilton. I think that's good money, especially as versatile as he is and his ability to to move all around on that defense. They had no offensive rookie of the years because they didn't draft anybody of note. I mean, LeJohntay Webster, their 6th-round pick, is not going to win offensive player of the year. Offensive rookie of the year, I should say. Sorry. Sneaky, intriguing. Mike Green has better odds than Malachi Starks. That's because Mike Green's probably going to be starting or getting a lot of play time. Well, Malachi Starks is too. But his ability to get to the quarterback, if he has 8-9 sacks and just makes an impact on this defensive line from day one through the entirety of the season, at plus 1,200, that is a great bet for Defensive Rookie of the Year. John Harbaugh, I think, had the second worst odds at plus 6,000. Nobody cares about him winning Coach of the Year because, again, just like the Philadelphia Eagles, they would have to go 17-0 in order for John Harbaugh to win Coach of the Year. It's just not a reasonable expectation because this is such a media-driven award that there's no storyline. It's always given to whoever is the most improved. All these first-year coaches, they come in and turn around and get five more wins. A team that was a top 5 pick that makes the playoffs the next year. That's all it is. Most improved player on this team, who could we argue should be the most improved player? I mean, Trenton Simpson. Maybe. Hopefully. I mean, whatever. Who was terrible last year? Terrible enough to say, oh, you need to be most improved. I'm just looking. I'm going deep into the depth chart. Mark Andrews catching the ball on 2-point conversion. That's your most improved player right there. Drop-off candidates, Lamar, just because Lamar was Lamarvelous in 2024. It's kind of hard to expect him to put up those same numbers that he put up last year. X factor, the team in the playoffs. We're not even worried about the regular season. Doesn't matter. To finish up, like I said, on these other teams, best, worst, and most realistic outcome for the Baltimore Ravens. And they kind of all run together by the time we get to these top teams and the top team in the NFL in the Baltimore Ravens. Best outcome, win the Super Bowl. Simple as that. I don't think that's unheard of. I don't think anybody's like, oh, God, there's no way they're going to win. I want to say you're kind of crazy if you would say that there's no way that they win. Yes, they've had playoff struggles, but no one will be surprised if the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl. So that's the best case scenario. We know that. Worst case scenario is, I don't think there's any way they don't make the playoffs outside of Lamar being injured for 4+ weeks. So assuming they make the playoffs, because their floor is probably 10-7, and I don't even know how that would happen outside of injuries. But 10-7 still gets them in the playoffs, and they just lose in the first round. I believe that's the floor, just because of that's worst case scenario based on their history. Most realistic outcome. I promise I'm not trying to be a homer whenever I say this, but I truly expect them to win the Super Bowl. If it's not this year, it's never going to happen. Honestly, this is their best chance. Yes, they have to go through Kansas City. Yes, they have to go through Buffalo. But more than likely, they probably only have to play one of the two. There is a scenario where they could, like last year, they could play both of them. But regardless, they still should be able to beat both of those teams. Josh Allen, while he can have as good of an offensive input as Lamar Jackson, the defense in Buffalo is not the defense in Baltimore. So my realistic expectation is that the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl. I truly feel that they should. And if they don't, it's a failure of a season. Like I said, this is the year they have to put up, or I don't know where they go from here if they don't win. They have to get to the Super Bowl for sure. If they don't get to the Super Bowl, John Harbaugh may be out the door. AFC Championship, he may stay. But if they don't make the AFC Championship and they lose on some nonsense, they may look to flip the switch at head coach. He just got the extension, but I don't know. Something's got to change if they don't get to the Super Bowl this year. Tall task, high expectations, but whenever you have this roster, you're expected to compete and win. So we have now completed all of the power rankings. All 32 teams have been discussed. We have probably spent near, 32 hours of talking, and you can find every episode on YouTube. I've broken down every one of these teams, and I'm tired of talking about it. Not really. But 32 teams, and we have roughly 34 days till kickoff. That's that. I don't know who stands out on here. It would be a big argument for you. I don't think anyone really is too far off from where I have them placed on here. Would love to hear the feedback though. But that does it for the power rankings. We will be back next week. So we have, what is it? 4 weeks till kickoff. 4 more episodes until kickoff. So I will be doing, next week will be top X number. I don't know what number yet. Top offenses and defenses in the NFL. And then we're going to go through the position players, the top wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, probably tight ends as well. And then defensive tackles, DNs, linebackers, secondary, blah, blah, blah. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you join me in the following weeks. Be sure to follow me here on everything King NFL Stats. Really enjoying the TikTok these days. Love making the videos with the short content of statistical analysis of every team in the NFL. If you are a Buffalo Bills fan, look a little farther down. Do Media. Follow everyone at Do Champions. They're the ones who put all this on. And thankful to have them as a partner or be part of what they have going on. Greatest Buffalo Bill coverage of all coverage options. But until next week, appreciate you stopping by. Leave a like, subscribe, follow, all the above. See you.